Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you had a great weekend or having a great weekend and excited to be back. I certainly am excited to be back every Sunday evening, Monday morning. So, again, a very warm welcome to you. Today, by the way, we are going to complete chapter 4. Chapter 4, 3 years. What a coincidence. You know, 4 chapters in 3 years, so 18 chapters in 17 years, probably, I don't know. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, today we will be completing chapter 4 and then we'll be starting chapter 5 finally. So let's get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru like we always do. So let me share my screen and we'll get underway. Okay, so we'll start with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurudevo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you once again. So let's get started with our Soul Soup segment like we always do as part of our Success, Happiness and Fulfillment series. So not yesterday, the previous few sessions we've been talking about knowledge. Why knowledge is important. 50% of the battle is acquiring knowledge. The remaining 50% is to practically implement it. So we've been talking about knowledge and today we will continue in that vein. Now, application of knowledge, just having knowledge does not help. In order for us to apply knowledge, there is an important ingredient that is needed, and that is called discipline. Now, without discipline, all the knowledge is futile because that knowledge, for us to translate it into wisdom, that is what we are talking about. Difference between Gyan and Vigyan, the theoretical knowledge and applied knowledge. What we need is discipline. And this discipline is a key ingredient. Why? Because you have the right intention, that doesn't take us very far. If just by aiming at something you would get a reward, then there won't be any Olympics. Everybody wants to aim at the bullseye and hit the target, right? But very few are actually able to hit it. So what bridges the gap between the intention and the actual accomplishment is discipline. This is the importance of discipline in general in our life, more so on the path of spirituality as well. So discipline is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. Also, it is the bridge between the inspiration and the achievement, and knowledge and practice. So this is actually the key bridge that we need to make use of. And if we don't have discipline, we'll not be able to bridge this gap. We'll only continue to have best intentions. And there's a saying as well, right? The pathway to hell is paved with all good intentions. So for us to bridge this gap, we need to bring in the power of discipline. Now, discipline is something which empowers us to do the right thing, even though it may be difficult. This is the key thing, even though it may be difficult. Likewise, it enables us to desist or resist from engaging in detrimental activities though they may seem to be pleasurable. So you sacrifice pleasure over something which is beneficial. And when you do that, that requires discipline in all walks of life, more so on the path of spirituality as well. If you don't have discipline, we'll never be able to bridge that gap. Intent is good, intent is a good start, but then we need to do something about it as well. And with discipline, it will enable us to have the required accomplishment or the goal that we set around it. So this is the bridge between intention and accomplishment, inspiration, achievement, knowledge, and practice. So hope you get that. We'll continue to build on this because only when our knowledge fructifies, only when we are able to put it to good use, do we taste success, the sense of fulfillment, and happiness as a consequence of it as well. So discipline is the key ingredient that we should be focusing on in order for us to take our knowledge to the next level, make it an applied knowledge. Now let's get to the shloka. Today we are going to complete our chapter 4. There is no 4.43. After 4.42 comes 5.1. So today we will complete this. So let's do it for one last time for this chapter at least. I'm going to recite it. You're welcome to follow along. Tasmadagyanasambhutam Hritstham Jnanasinatmanah Chitvainam Samshayam Yogam Atishthotishth Bharata. Okay, let's take a few hands.
Radhe Radhe Shyamji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Tasmad jnanam sambhutam Hritstham jnanasinatmanah Chitvenam sanchaya yogam Tishto tishto bharata. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Shyamji. Okay, let's take a few more hands.
Radhe Radhe Ji, Ramya Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Tasma-jnana-sambhutam Ritam jnana-sinatmanah Chitvainam sanchayam yogam Atishto-tishta bharata. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Very nice. Thank you, Shiramya.
Ragi Ji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe, Ragi Ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Thank you. Tasmat jnana-sambhutam Hitstam jnanasinatmanah Chitvenam sanchayam yogam Atishto bharata.
Very nice. Thank you, Pragi Ji. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Tasmat ajnana sambhutam Hritstam jnanasinatmanah Chitvainam sanshayam yogam Atishthotishth Bharata.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay, so in this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying to Arjun, therefore, with the sword of knowledge, cut asunder the doubts that have arisen in your heart. O scion of Bharat, establish yourself in Karam Yoga. Arise, stand up, and take action. Okay. So we've been talking about knowledge versus wisdom. Information is not knowledge. Information is mere information. When you apply context to it, it starts becoming knowledge. And when you gain insights from it and utilize it, then it becomes wisdom. Like I gave an example of IT, information is information, and then you apply some context to that data. Data is pure data, and then you start understanding, okay, this is what the relationship with the data is, or this is what the context of the data is, and it becomes more meaningful. And when you generate insights out of it, you start utilizing that data for something meaningful. Like research data is there, you did correlation, you observe and stuff like that, and then it becomes wisdom because you can derive something meaningful out of it. So that is the practical application. So it's important to move away from, move on from information and gain insights in form of wisdom and apply it as well. And this is the gap that this divide requires a bit of a leap. Not bit, but a big leap. This is the one of the biggest divides between knowledge and wisdom. One may have all the knowledge in the world, but if it is not translated to wisdom or applied knowledge, it is futile. It is what a waste kind of a scenario, right? We said that an ounce of wisdom is better than a tons of knowledge one may have. And like it's pretty obvious, right? So when we have somebody has applied knowledge, that carries more relevance than somebody having tons of theoretical knowledge, right? We would go under the knife of a surgeon who has read books or somebody who has practical experience, but of course somebody who has practical experience. And that's where there are two kinds of knowledge: the Shabdik Gyan, the theoretical knowledge, and the realized knowledge, which is called Anubhavatmak Gyan, which is based out of experience or realization and carries more weightage any day. And then senses, mind, and intellect, theory versus practical. We have spoken about it. You can have all the best recipes in the world, but if you have not cooked it and tasted it, it's futile. Okay. Now, so one may acquire theoretical knowledge on topics such as soul, Maya, God, Karam, Gyan, Bhakti from Guru or scriptures. This knowledge is not beneficial and fulfill the purpose of human life, which is God realization. And how does it fructify? Only through when we do sadhana or spiritual practice. You have to take the next step to make it a realization. Now, when we say there is bliss in God, we have heard it, but how do you translate it into experience? You can only experience it when you immerse yourself in kirtans. Only when you take God's name with faith for an extended period of time, you will start feeling that bliss, that that inner feeling, the inner joy, the inner peace would be a strongest testimonial to this. You don't need any other proof. The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is your own experience. How does that experience come? Through the practice of devotion. What kind of experience, what kind of testimony it is? It is as good as knowing how much salt is there in the food or how much sugar is there in the porridge. Right? You can't articulate it, you just know it. It's right or it is perfect. So that is how the proof would be of. So knowledge plus practice leads to wisdom. When you practice knowledge, you apply knowledge, then it becomes a realized knowledge. Having said that, there is another variable we'll add to this equation. Knowledge plus practice is there, which takes us to the realized wisdom, but let's add another important ingredient to it. What is that ingredient? You have knowledge, you have practice. Add, what do you add? Secret ingredient is faith. Add faith to it. Okay, when you add this, then it will basically become the fast track that process, because now you are doing it with Shraddha, Nishtha. When that is there, that benefit would be fast tracked, right? Especially when you put in your Nishtha or Shraddha or faith in spiritual words or the message that is coming in from scriptures. And how does that happen? Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. It's a three-step process. You do that, you listen to something, good knowledge, then you contemplate upon it deeply, and then you keep on contemplating it, and then you start putting it to practice, and your intellect is convinced, yes, it is. Then you don't need any further proof. You are intellectually already convinced. So this is how the three-step process unfolds. Now, moving on. What is this question? Okay. Now, the role of spiritual master, like Krishna is playing that right now, and his disciple is Arjun, and he's telling him how to gain insightful wisdom from the practice of Karam Yoga. Now, if you remember the previous shloka, Lord Krishna is talking about renouncing all the ritualistic and so activities and of serving God with body, mind, and soul. And in this sense, he's saying rise and perform Karam Yoga. So which is going to confuse Arjun. Okay, and he's not truly confused, but the God has planted that doubt in his head. And then he's going to ask the very obvious question, just tell me, okay, Karam Yoga or Karam Sannyas, which will get started tomorrow on that discussion. But in this one, he's asking him to rise up and, perform Karam Yoga. And he's asking Arjun, advising Arjun to use both wisdom and faith to cleave out the doubts. Wisdom as well as faith. Faith is a key ingredient. So from that sense, he's saying it's a call of action, and he's saying do your duty, but in the spirit of Karam Yoga. That is Buddhi Yoga. Do your duty, but not merely as a duty for your own sensory fulfillment or to have some kind of a result in mind for your own self, but in the spirit of Karam Yoga. That is the key thing. Okay. And these are the dual instructions to both refrain from action and to engage in action. Now that is going to create doubt in Arjun's mind. You do action and yet not do action. So basically, Lord Krishna is telling Arjun, fight the war, and he's saying yet not fight the war. Perform action and yet not perform action. That is what is going to confuse Arjun, which is going to ask, which we are going to expound on anyways. So this is going to get covered at the beginning of the next chapter, which we are going to start talking about from tomorrow. Now let's talk about the barriers which prevent us from, knowledge from turning into wisdom. We spoke about it and we'll do a recap of those as well. But let's start with the big ones. Again, because we couldn't cover that completely. So let's start with the story. Okay, here is a gentleman. He's a businessman, and he wants to make a lot of money. Okay, he wants to run a business and he wants to do well and make a lot of money. And then, you know what? He's thinking, if God wants it to happen, it will happen. Never mind. You think anybody would do that in the world? Anybody who's performing any action in this world, they want to achieve something. Will they leave it like this? If God wants it to happen, it will happen. Never mind. Or they will perform action. They'll do something. They'll do their best in the material world. In the material world, they'll do that. If let's say somebody is a businessman, they want to make money, they will put in their efforts. They'll take control of their efforts. They will not leave it to God. Of course, they'll do efforts. Completely leaving it to God will never happen. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to ask something?
I mean, I wasn't sure if, yeah, so it was like you were saying if anybody will do it. Yeah, like people who do not really understand properly what is true surrender, but end up being doing tushti, then they can get into
Right.
this.
That tushti is more on the spiritual side. Material side, nobody does that.
Right.
Material side, nobody does tushti. They put in their effort, because if you want to do something in your studies or otherwise, you will put in some effort around it. Now, that might be half-hearted or whatever, but you are going to put effort around it. But when it comes to spirituality, and the same businessman, who's putting in a lot of hard work to make money or to do well in business, when it comes to spirituality, they will say, if God desires so, then it will happen, right? It happens in the world. Okay, why am I not doing it? Maybe, God does not desire it for me. We blame God for that. Why are we not going to Vaishno Devi? Because we always thought, because Mata Rani has not called us as yet. That is called Ishwar Tushti. So it is a big barrier in this field. I'll tell you a story of a gardener. So there was a gardener who would plant beautiful flowers in his garden. Okay, he'll water the garden every day and then mow the garden every day. Until one day a cow came. Okay, and it damaged all the garden. It ate everything there. And he was so furious that it went on to kill the cow. Okay, killed the cow. And when the villagers came, they found a dead cow in his garden. They asked him, who killed this cow? He said, God killed this cow. He said, how did that happen? He said, because, the hand, the devata of, all the devatas, they govern some part of our body, right? So hand is governed by Lord Indra. So he said, Lord Indra did that. Okay, killed the cow. So Lord Indra was there. He saw that. He heard, okay, all right. He took a disguise of a Brahmin and came to him. He said, whose garden is this? He said, it's mine. Who waters it so nicely and maintains it so beautifully? He said, I did that. And who mows this so nicely? He said, I did that. And then who killed the cow? Now, of course, he has to say that I did that, right? So you can't just pass it on to God at that moment, because we still have kartitra abhiman, doership. You have a sense of doership around it, right? So when you have a sense of doership, yes. So when you have a sense of doership, you cannot put it on God just for the sake, as an excuse for the lack of effort that you are making in the field of spirituality. So that is called Ishwar Tushti, which is a huge barrier for a lot of people in their lives. Okay, that is something we really need to look at from abstaining from. Take ownership of it. It is like Karta Bahir, Akarta Antar, Sage Vashisht had told Lord Ram. From outside, do everything as if it depends on you, and from inside, understand it's a grace of God that enables it. Right? So you can't absolve yourself from your effort in anything. And in spirituality, don't blame it on God. If God were to do that, He would make all of us surrendered, and He would make pretty much everything. Bhagavad Gita was not needed at that point. He said, you know what, Arjun, I'll take care of it myself, because if you're going to do Ishwar Tushti, then God will take care of it, everything, right? If you leave everything to God, He would take care of it. Then Bhagavad Gita is also not needed. So Ishwar Tushti is one of the biggest pitfalls on the path of spirituality, where we leave it to God, and our mind is good at making excuses. It is made up of material energy, and it is an expert in making excuses. And this is one of the excuses your mind will make up: if God will so desire, so shall it happen, kind of a deal. You don't leave it to God's desire. You put in your effort and wait for His grace. Of course, it will be enabled by His grace, but His grace only comes when you put in your effort. There's a saying in English: God helps those who help themselves. So you can't just leave squarely on God everything. Okay, so this is one tushti, which is a very common barrier on this path. Now the other one is, okay, let's talk about it. So this is our stockpile of karmas from endless lifetimes, right? And one of the drop comes to us in form of current destiny. One of the drops comes, it is our current destiny. This is the drop, which is your current destiny in this life. Just one drop which has been picked up from this ocean. Now, the current destiny is there. Now, this one is not your current destiny, but it is your current effort. The tap is on. You see the tap? It's not destiny, it is your current effort. The tap is on. You had a drop to begin with, but the tap is still on. Okay. And when the tap is on, end of this life, this will get poured into your karma again. And then again a drop will be picked up, and that will become your future destiny. So second pitfall is bhagya tushti. Okay, the drop that I was given with, if it has in that, it will happen. Okay, if it's written in my fate, it will happen. This is called bhagya tushti. Now let's understand this. If you have a fate which is determined by your past karma, then the tap that you have opened up in this life, which is your free will result in your future destiny. So, if you have your past destiny and past karma resulting in present destiny, then your present karmas are going to result in your future destiny. It's a very simple logic, right? So, the tap which is on right now, which is our free will, is something that we need to focus on and not blame it on fate or our bhagya. This is a bhagyavadi philosophy, right? They say jan, karm, dhan, vidya, that is all fixed, and leave it to fate and blame fate for everything. It's not in my destiny, it's not there when God will desire. So the Ishwar Tushti and the Bhagya Tushti, this is something we really need to be careful about. A lot of people blame it on destiny, blame it on God, and don't do what is needed on their end. And it's a very simple, I mean, it's an excuse that your mind is making up, nothing more than that. Okay. So these are the things which prevent us from doing what is needed to be done when we come across a knowledge, and then put it into action so that it becomes an applied knowledge or wisdom. If we don't do that, if we blame destiny, if we don't take our effort, then again it will not happen. Okay, so this is a very common pitfall. You would hear a lot of people in India, at least while growing up, I have heard a lot of people saying that, you know, if God will desire, it will happen. If it is in destiny, it will happen. When the right time will come, it will happen. These are all excuses that our mind is making up, nothing more than that. Okay, so these are the pitfalls we need to be wary of on this path. Now, the destiny is like a pack of cards. Dr. Radha Krishna had beautifully said it that your destiny is the hand that you are dealt with. If that would determine everything, then there will not be any bridge tournaments in the world. Why do we have bridge tournaments in the world? Because people, the way they play, they get they either win or they lose. You know, so people with bad cards can win. People with good cards can lose. If that game, if you know, purely it depends on the kind of cards that are given to you, then they will not have that tournament. They will simply distribute the cards, say open your cards and you are the winner. They don't do it that way. So how you play is what matters. So you may be dealt a bad card, which might be part of your prarabdha, but if you play well, you can still do well in life. And on the other side, conversely, you might have been dealt a very good hand, but if you don't utilize this human birth and fritter it away, then you will basically be on the losing side, at least from this life standpoint. So this is how it has to be taken. And then, of course, the common ones that we spoke about, the barriers which are important. Again, let's do a quick recap. These are important ones, which are the other excuses our mind makes up. We really need to be cautious and wary of that. The first one was dancing. What are we dancing to? We are dancing to the tunes of our mind. Okay, our mind is very smart. Okay, it just knows how to make excuses and to make us run right. For example, we spoke about what are those dances? My mood is not there. My feelings, I'm not feeling good, or I'm feeling this, or I'm feeling that, and my current situation is sorted out. You know, my situation is not supportive. Only after I have you know, gotten my new job will I settle down, or if once I complete my training, or you know, once the kids are settled, or once they are married, or once I'm retired. All these are kind of situations, you know, excuses your mind is making up. They say that you don't wait for the rain to pass, you get out in the rain and dance. That is how it goes, because life will continue unfolding, and life is what happens when you are busy planning. So don't wait for that perfect situation, opportunity. The time is now. The time to act is now. This is as simple as that. Okay, your mind will keep on making excuses otherwise for the rest of eternity. So dancing to the tunes of mind, we don't do that. We take control of our mood. We take control of our feelings, because there is a danger. What if your mood is off for the rest of your life? What are you going to do then? Will you lose this human life, this opportunity, or the feeling or the inspiration doesn't come? Are you going to make it use it as an excuse to waste another human life? You should not. So the responsive person who's spiritually mature, they take control of their mood and their feelings. They don't play, you know, they don't simply dance to those tunes. They inculcate right kind of thought patterns so that they can work on their moods, they can work on their feelings and keep themselves inspired, or keep checking the fundamentals even when their mood is not cooperating, because they know this is just a passing phase. Okay, so this is the right way to look at it. Second one is, of course, laziness, procrastination. All of us are afflicted with it to varying degrees. Our scriptures say that alasya hi manushyanam sharirastho mahan ripu. In fact, this is the biggest disease of human life. Okay, procrastination, laziness. Right? When Lord Krishna says, um, four kind of people approach me, he says that, right? Jigyasu, Arto, Arti, and Gyani. Then why people are not able to complete the journey? They are not able to complete the journey just because of their laziness and procrastination, not because of anything else. So once Tattva is clear, also still it's difficult to progress because of our chronic habit of procrastinating things. Okay, everybody is afflicted with that we keep on postponing it. Let me do it after 5 years, and those after 5 years remain after 5 years forever. Complacency, this is a big one, where we don't do enough repetition, and then we have a false pride of, I have heard it, I know it, there's nothing new, kind of a thing, right? So we need to be very wary of that, because this can happen, especially when you've come across knowledge, you've read it, you've gone through it. It's like, okay, I know it, we don't know it. Just to make that knowledge realized bit, it takes a lot actually, and a lot of effort, a lot of contemplation, and most importantly, God's grace. All of three have to, we have to put in our effort. They say, right, the two forces have to act. One is the call from below, where you are putting in your effort, that you are seeking, and you want to exert yourself, and then the divine grace intervenes. So it's a combination of both. Tat prasadat param, right? So your effort and divine grace both work in cohesion, and then it makes it happen. So we cannot be complacent until we have become God realized that I have been through it. I know this knowledge. I have come through, this concept, and it's clear to me. Never, right? Gaurang Mahaprabhu has said that when it comes to seeking Tattva Gyan, don't be lazy. It's not that until you become God realized, you have not aced that knowledge as yet. And Maharaj Ji used to say, people used to tell him, Maharaj Ji, can you change your examples, because we have heard it? He said, you have to listen to it. Because are you God realized? If the answer is no, then you have to listen to it. Okay. Keep listening to it. The knowledge will slip when you need it. Okay. So don't underestimate the power of Maya, and don't overestimate your ability with regards to retaining that knowledge. And unless or until we have contemplated it to an extent where God's grace has also intervened and it has become a realized knowledge. So no matter how many times you listen to it, again, there will be a fresher perspective that may emerge, especially with Bhagavad Gita. And then erroneous knowledge, of course, knowledge from informal resources. My friends say that, Google say that, my parents say that, my dadi ma said that, my one of my friends whom I look up to is saying that. There are so many informal resources will feed you a lot of knowledges, right? And your concepts and fundas, right, in life, that I have to balance my life with other things too. So spirituality is just one of the many things, kind of a deal. So many things are there, and then those kind of things can actually impede your journey as well. So the right way is to, once you come across a bona fide knowledge, experiment with it and see where it takes you, as opposed to subscribing to multiple philosophies in life, which can take you all over the place. It's a wild goose chase even on the path of spirituality, because um, there are just too many things going on, and like any other place, it could confuse, befuddle you, especially if you're not working under the guidance of a proper guru. It can really confuse you as well. And then you might be solving a problem, but you might be solving a wrong problem, or you might be solving a right problem incorrectly. A lot of possibilities are there. So if you find proper knowledge, and if something is working for you, just take it to the next level. It's very simple. Yeah. And make sure that your mind does not get what do you call that, confused with too many theories around. So if you pick up a theory, you come across a proper guru, or you have a good reason to believe something is clicking, explore it properly, and it's just a matter of time before God will establish that faith, and then things will start clearing up in your head as well. Any questions so far? So today is the last time we are going to discuss, not the last time I'm saying, this is the last shloka of chapter 4. I'm sure we'll revisit in some form or manner in future as well. But any questions on this or anything related to what we have spoken about in this particular chapter before we start with chapter 5 starting tomorrow? Yes, I see a couple of hands raised already. Go. Yeah.
Ipshita ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Shitaji.
Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, I have just a request that the things you are explaining, with that you are giving some quotes, right? So if you can give the reference of the quote, then after the class, when I am contemplating on the subjects, I mean the slides, then I can refer to the sloks also. So if you can.
Which shlok did I say, by the way?
Just here in laziness, you said one quote.
Okay, Alasya Himan. Okay, sure. I can do that.
Yeah. then it will be easier, no? Because I'm taking notes. So
Absolutely.
it is easier than
So
by
anything that I quote, I will try to put it here as well. I mean, typically it just
yes.
comes at runtime so I don't pay much attention to it. Okay. So I will make sure I'll put as many as possible. Right? Even
Okay.
laziness,
Thank you.
procrastination, there's another one of Kabir Das ji had said, Kal कल करे सो आज करे सो अब पल में पहले होएगी बहुरी करेगा कब, right? So that procrastination aspect is something we really need to look at these days. I think that doha has been modified and it says आज करे सो कल करे सो परसों इतनी भी है जल्दी, जिंदगी है बरसों, but that's not the right way of looking at it. Anyways, sure, I'll send it out to you, but I'll try to make notes of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I had a question, Nitinji.
Sure.
So, like this point that you mentioned, the erroneous knowledge, I like I see that like many times, this is an argument that I hear from people of my contemporary age that, like we need to balance out our lives. And if we get too much in depth into spirituality, we are losing on other things. And there is like a fear of missing out on other things. And like one aspect around it is that spirituality is not really different thing, right? It actually adds value to anything and everything that you do, but it's very difficult to it's like you talked about this salt and sugar. It's a taste that you can only taste yourself. It's very difficult to explain to so along those lines, I wanted to get an answer from you how to kind of it just say that experiment it yourself, or is there some sort of statements that, I mean, it's not easy to say that it's erroneous knowledge that you're carrying. I mean, it's very,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. So Buddha was asked, what have you gained, after becoming enlightened or seeking spiritual truths in life? So Buddha said that I haven't gained anything. Actually, I've lost. He said, what have you lost? He said, I've lost anger, greed, jealousy, envy, all that stuff. So yes, if we are fearful of losing something, when we are on this path, these are the things. I mean, should we really be fearful of losing anger, greed, and all the things that trouble us our mind? But I get that part. It's a deeper discussion, easier said than done. But you tell it to people, they say, okay, don't be philosophical to me, okay? Don't talk like a Baba to me. So I think the simple thing is, you don't have to do different anything. I would explore it just like a science. If we have of scientific temperament, we just add this dimension. It's like learning a new thing. Like for example, when I was in the security domain, newly when I joined, I subscribed for a couple of certifications, industry certification, right? CISM and something like that, CISA or CISSP. So you plan for a certification. So you plan for, a spiritual certification for a few months. Okay, let me explore this. Let me add a new dimension to life and see what happens. Simply add it. And the beauty of this path is that when you add it, whatever needed to be subtracted will automatically start happening. So you don't have to subtract anything out of your life. Let it organically happen. Let it naturally happen. Don't force yourself on anything. Anyway, we cannot force ourselves on anything in our life, right? If we force ourselves, that means we have not grown out of it. That means that thing is still there. And like Swamiji always says, we are perfectly situated where we need to be. There are things only after we have experienced will we be able to say that now I'm growing out of it. I mean, it doesn't give me the same fun or thrill or taste that I used to have. So we simply add this to our lives and not tinker anything else. It's not like you have to wake up at 4 a.m. Now you have to do chant and now you have to do this and don't eat this, don't drink this, nothing of that sort. You just add this dimension and see how other things, perspective towards other things unfolds over a period of time. That's about it.
Small steps, basically,
Small
right?
steps, yeah. You simply add it. You don't subtract anything out of your life. You continue doing whatever your mind seeks or craves for. Yeah. Yeah, Shilpa ji.
Radhe Radhe Shilpa ji.
Radhe Radhe,
Radhe
Radhe Radhe Nitinji sir.
Radhe. Radhe.
So, like you mentioned, the tushti that God doesn't want this to happen, or God wants me, that's a tushti. Um, Even for for all of the Tirth Yatras and Dhams in India, people say, Bulava aaya hai, things like that. Bhagwan ki marzi jab hogi. I understand those are tushtis, but what is the opposite of that thought? Like, how can we substitute that thought? Once we realize that that thought's coming and we know it's bad, what's the best way to counter effect that?
That's a good one. Um, so first of all, you cannot undermine the importance of the self-effort in any endeavor. Okay, so first of all, you focus on your purusharth, exerting your free will in that direction. Okay, I think Sant Ravidas ji had said, "Man changa to kathauti mein Ganga." Okay, so you don't have to go to Ganges. In fact, tomorrow I will tell you a small piece of meditation which I came across in Swamiji's book, Questions You Always Wanted to Ask. If you meditate on that, basically you have done the Ganges, the benefit of what you would get from Ganges, sitting at your home itself. Okay, I'll bring it tomorrow. I don't have it handy. You do simple meditation, you get the same benefit that you would get by doing the Tirath and going to Ganges. So you have to arm yourself with right knowledge that, it's not about doing that mechanical work of going all the way to the Tirath and your mind being somewhere else. So once your knowledge is pakka in your head, then you will not get swayed with these kind of opinions. And then don't undermine always focus on what you can do. Your Purusharth, that ability is something that is of paramount importance than anything else. Going to Tirath does not carry any weight if your mind is somewhere else. And you can get the same benefit sitting at home if your mind is there. So, the right knowledge should help you build the right sentiments or right perspective around some of these confusions that come. So, rather than doing Tushti, I mean, if you are saying you always wanted to go to Vaishnu Devi, go ahead and plan for it and have those sentiments. Oh my God, I'm going to a place where I can, I'll probably be able to build better connect with divine because so and so thing and such Leela took place here. Then you plan for it and do that. Even otherwise, you don't even have to go there. If you simply sit in your room and meditate, you're already done the Tirath of Vaishno Devi or Ganges or wherever you wanted to go. So the right knowledge should be able to neutralize, some of these doubts that we get. I hope I answered part of your question at least. Shilpa ji,
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for unmuting me. So I use Tirth Yatra as an example because that's what I've heard, that the saying I've heard that the most in my life. But like anything that you're trying in our lives, that we're trying and something doesn't happen, and then we at the end we kind of say maybe God didn't want it to happen, or maybe God wanted it to happen. I think as a human being, when we just kind of fail to not get what we want, we do blame it on God, and that's
Not
wrong.
blame. Yeah, blame. No, I think there's a difference between blaming or accepting. Right? There is
Okay.
Karam Yoga, it is say Prayatn me savdhani, phal me santushti. That means exercise diligence when it comes to
Okay.
exerting your effort, but exercise acceptance when it comes to results.
Got
So,
it.
as long as you have put in your best, and then have acceptance around the fruit, that is fine. Then you're not blaming God. Maybe you tried really hard and did not happen, and you have an acceptance. Okay, maybe it's God's wish, it's not meant to happen. It's fine. But if you don't even try and say, okay, maybe God doesn't want it, then it is a problem. So
Okay.
I hope you get the difference between the two.
Yes, now I get it. So it's okay to say something is God's wish, but
True,
you have to try it
true, true.
and then accept God's wish.
Very true. It's like when it comes to working or doing things, do as if everything depends on you.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to the results, have that understanding that is as if everything depends on
No.
God.
Yeah. Okay. The thing that you said in Hindi totally made sense. Can you repeat that again?
प्रयत्न में सावधानी, फल में संतुष्टि.
Yes, fal mein so whatever result you get, or the result may be nothing, but the nothing in itself is also a result. So have santushti in that nothing.
Santushti and acceptance rather than
And
complaining and whining.
got it.
And you have subscribed to Karma Yoga. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much, Radhe.
Yeah, that's how we need to do that. So we don't simply give up, our effort and say, oh, God did not want it. No, then you are doing so Ishwar Tushti. You put in your best, as everything depends on your effort. And then finally have an acceptance around the result. That is the key.
And to add to this, actually, Abhaji has also sent a message which is don't get attached to anything and keep
Need
trying
to
even if you fail, like perseverance around it. So
perseverance, yes. Perseverance, acceptance, all these things are very handy tools on the path of spirituality. See, this dichotomy we have to take along on the path of spirituality, right? It's like you have to put in your effort, but at the same time, your efforts are not good enough. You have to rely on God's grace. So you have to do your effort. At the same time, inside, you know that, okay, I have to rely on God's grace. But because you have to rely on God's grace, you say, no, I will not even put my effort and rely solely on God's grace. That is also not acceptable. So both things have to go hand in hand. I hope that's making sense, not confusing. So you have to take both the things together. You have to rely on God's grace, but then you have to put in your effort as well. If you put in your effort and you think you are the doer, that is also not right. You're putting on your effort, and at the same time, you know it's only through God's grace it's going to happen. That is the right way of approaching. So that is how we have to take both the thoughts, the dichotomy, the coexistence of that goes hand in hand. Make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay, any more questions?
no more questions in the chat. Should we make some announcements?
Sure, we can make some announcements, and we are going to complete chapter 4. We're going to start with chapter 5 starting tomorrow, and that is one exciting thing. And the other one is we are going to do our 3-year celebrations anniversary. It's so good to have this 3-year completion. It's been a fascinating journey. So if you have any testimonials or videos you want to share, please do. I think we have already shared the links for that, right? And I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, any questions that you have, you can always fill it up in the feedback tracker. So yeah, go ahead. Let's make the announcements.
So if you also want to do something short and creative on that day, like so day after tomorrow, which is Thursday in India and Wednesday here, we are going to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of Daily
Sure.
Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita.
Anything creative you want to come up with,
Feel
that'll
free to prepare
that'll be
for it.
nice.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be talking that day. Okay, I can do my reflections a little bit, over the last, but I would like to hear mostly from you. How's been your journey and some of your takeaways, and just make it an informal, interactive segment. Yeah, I can talk through my journey, part of it.
And you can also present your real life experience of how this wisdom helped you deal with a situation that otherwise wouldn't have been that smooth or easier. So
True. And
that'll be helpful.
that'll be nice. And I'll probably talk about a couple of my favorite shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, so as well. So
Great. And then there are a couple of more announcements. We have Jagat Guruttam Divas coming soon. So that is the day where Kripaluji Maharaj was bestowed with the title of the Supreme Master of the world, the Jagat Guruttam. So that's on January 14th, and we have grand celebrations starting on January 13th itself. I have shared the link. We will have the most exciting event of the year. I feel like one of the most exciting event is Antakshari on the bhajans written by Maharajji. So I would encourage everybody to participate in it. People can participate both online and offline, if I'm not wrong. So I have shared the link for that as well. Free registration. You can participate as individual or as teams. And these bhajans are full of wisdom that we all need to, or knowledge which we all need to make wisdom for us at least. through provide after like preventing these barriers. So yes, we can look at that. And what else? Family camp, the annual family camp at Radhakrishna Temple with Swamiji. We have shared the details in the chat, so do register if you haven't yet. That's it, I think, main. And feedback tracker, once again, you can fill that out. Apart from adding your testimonials, you can also add your questions that Nitinji will look at and will address in the upcoming sessions.
Yes, Pratyusha, go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe, Pratyusha ji.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, sir. I say actually, I have a question that for a Gyani, that person is actually doing intellectual studies, right? Study and the practice he's doing. So, what kind of a faith does that person has? Because faith means we are worshipping God. So, what kind of, because that God element is not there.
Faith on your own intellect as well, right? That you will get it. Faith on, but they're putting the faith on scriptures as well, right? One aspect of it, that the Nirakar
So
aspect.
that is where they say that Aham Brahmasi, like I am God. Is that faith? And the
That's the
God
faith.
is saying, okay,
Yeah,
if that is your wish.
that's the faith they are putting, right? Aham Brahmasmi, that philosophy, that I am God and I've forgotten myself and I'm God only. So that is the faith. They're putting faith in that knowledge, right? And that practice they keep on deepening.
Okay.
Aham
So,
Brahmasmi.
okay. So, in that sense, then if we are saying that person is actually practicing to become equanimous, and that is what we are also doing in the, as a devotee, right? We are also on the path of becoming a Sita Prajna. And then second question is, at what stage are we having a self-realization in the bhakti side?
Bhakti side, see, self-realization is an automatic. See, when you go for, so let's first understand, self-realization is not equal to God realization, right? Self-realization is when you are self-realized, you are situated in I, right? Like Ramana Maharshi, everything I in everything. But you have not yet, I mean, I'm not saying about him in general, but self-realization is not equal to God realization because God realization is much more deeper than that. Right. So it's like self-realization would probably happen along the path, in the path of bhakti. And I think when you are self-realization, Atma Gyan is not equal to Brahma Gyan. Okay, so Brahma Gyan, in order for you to get Brahma Gyan, you have to become Sharnagat to Sagun Sakar's God, because only through his grace and Nirakar cannot grace. So there's a technicality there as well, right? But when you are in Atma Gyan, you have conquered Avidya Maya. You have not yet conquered Vidya Maya. This is still an
So,
aspect of
what is that Vidya Maya?
Vidya Maya. So
You
Mahan
conquer?
Ahankar, those tattva, when you look at those Panch Mahabhut, Panch Tanmatras, Mahan Ahankar, all that stuff, right? So I think the Mahan Ahankar, beyond that part, the Mahan Ahankar, they still remain. You cannot conquer that. It is said, and even the what do you call that? The Sattva aspect of Maya, Gunamayi Maya, there are two aspects of Maya. I can get more technicalities around it. Gunavarki Maya and Swarupa Variki Maya. Swarupa Varika Maya, you can conquer. Guna Varika, you cannot because Sattva aspect still remains. So there are some technicalities around it. In order for you to go beyond Atmagyan to Brahmagyan, you have to surrender to God, even for moksha. Brahmagyan, if you are Brahmalin, you are, might be in Brahmagyan. So for that also you need God's grace. But then for Premanand, Brahmanand, yes, you need to. But for Premanand, of course, you should have worshipped God in Sagun Sakar Swarup in much more depth for sure. Maybe on the Bhakti Marg itself. But as you said, the Atma Gyan would have happened in one of the earlier stages in the path of devotion. It is a
Okay. So,
byproduct of your progress.
a devotee can have a self-realization on the way, and suppose his journey is not complete in that particular lifetime, he can, that is what we are doing, right? We are still improving ourselves, and then we'll reach that stage whenever the time comes.
Very true. So you will continue. You will not stop at Atma Gyan. You will not even stop
Mm.
at Brahma Gyan. You
And
will
it is not even necessary that if you have a Atma Gyan, you are completely Sthita Prajna. So anything can happen. Like you can become Sthita Prajna
you
first
are,
and then self-realized or opposite.
so when I say Atma Gyan, you have not conquered Maya completely, so you can still fall down,
Mm.
right? You can still fall. When you're not conquered, it's like you are supposed to cross the bank of, of a river, and you are 99% there, right? I'm just giving you an example. But you
Mm.
can still, the currents can still take you back because you have not touched the shore as yet. That can happen.
Any one bad guna or something can bring us, all of them come together.
You are not completely out of the woods until you have completed the journey. That is why Kevat said, right? That beautiful prasang in Ramayana, that Kevat, when he was taking Ram Bhagwan Ji, he started taking him multiple trips. He will take and again take a round, and then again take a round. So Ram Bhagwan was saying, what's going on, Kevat? You are just rotating,
Mm.
you're not making me hit the other side. You're just making. He said, Cyril, you make us rotate in 8.4 million. Now I'm just taking you a few extra rounds and you're having a problem with that. I never complained. But nevertheless, he said, okay, I will do that. And then when Lord Ram said, what can I pay you, when he finally takes him around? And I think Mother Sita, she gives him her anguti as, what do you call that? To pay for the services that he gave, right? And then he said, no, it's always good to keep God in debt. He said, you know what? I have taken you across the shore. When I get into, my life years go away, and when I am in this Bhavatavi, right, you take me across. I leave it. I will settle for that rather than settling here materially. So the point here is, until we have hit the other shore, with God's grace, of course, we are still in the woods. We could still come back to 8.4 million.
Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, this also reminded me of something you taught in the class about burning the seeds. If
Yeah,
they are not burnt, when circumstances come, they can always come back again
that's right.
and
They
give
can
us.
also come back if you have not completely burnt the seeds. Yes. Maya is very powerful. See, defeating Maya is as good as defeating God, because Maya is God's energy. And you cannot defeat God without God's grace. Simple principle. And God's grace comes through full surrender. Right? And then God's and Nirakar, light cannot grace. It's like you have tied God's hand, and what will God do then? So his Yoga Maya Shakti, Sagun Sakar, when you do only, that's when God can grace. So even in Gyan Marg, in advanced stages, finally you have to become Sharnagat to Sagun Sakar, get the grace and complete your journey in form of moksha, or becoming, realizing that Tattvamasi Aham Brahmasmi. That stage also you attain by surrendering to God. Yes, Smitaji.
Radhe Radhe, Smitaji.
Radha Smitaji.
No, you have completed 4th chapter, so I just wanted to and have a suggestion that why not chant the last Pushpita Om Tat Siddhi Srimad Bhagavad Gita at the end of this session,
Okay, sure. Want to take
because
lead?
that's the practice now generally when we
Uh,
complete the chapter.
Sure. We can do that. I'll have to pull it up. Swamiji,
Otherwise, I
please
can
say Jai
I
Shri
can
Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, you can do that. Please go ahead, Smitaji. We can follow you along. Atha, go ahead, please.
Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Chaturtho Dhyayah Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hare Namaha, Hare Namaha, Hare Namaha.
Very nice. Thank you, Smitaji. Thank you for doing that. And when we start the new chapter, we'll do that as well. Okay. Very nice. Thank you so much. See, that at least prompted you to speak for the first time here, right? On the session. So you made your debut. Thank you for that.
Now I will keep on.
You please keep on. It's always a pleasure to hear.
Thank you, Smitaji.
Thank you so much, Smitaji.
Okay, and actually, I just got reminded of another announcement. If I can, I mean, that came while we were having our session.
Sure.
There is also going to be an online trivia quiz on Jagat Gurutam Divas. And for that, we already have resources coming in. And the first resource is actually Bhagavad Gita book written by Swamiji and the introduction part of that, which talks about who is Jagat Gurutam. So I have shared that detail in the chat, and do not miss out on participating in this exciting trivia, which is going to be on January 13th. Okay, so that announcement is done. And there's a question from Manisha ji. Can I read it?
Sure.
So if we fall from 99th stair just before reaching the ultimate, then are we going to have this human form again to start again? Or we will again have to go through 84 lakh yonis?
That's a good question. I don't know about the answer for that. See, if we fall down, if there is a key lesson for us to be learned, God will ordain, He'll arrange for it somehow. Of course, we'll get a human birth to complete our journey. God is all merciful. He will not say, checkmate, 99.9, now you're done. He'll give you another opportunity. How soon, how late, only he knows that. Like in case of Jat Bharat, we know the story in Bhagavatam. He was pretty advanced stage devotee. But one mistake that he did was he fell in love with the, baby deer, and all the time his mind would go to that. Okay, what is the deer doing now? Okay, who's going to take care of it when I'm gone and stuff like that? And because of that, he had to come back as a deer. Now God can give certain tests for you, but that doesn't mean that he will lose all the spiritual progress that he has made. He still has that. And when he came back as a human next time around, he realized his folly and he completed his journey. So God will give that. He has faith, like Swamiji was telling in SMX, in his design, that all of us will finally reach him, and he's a facilitator, not somebody who's looking at opportunity to stop us. He always wants us to, give us the hand and let us complete our journey in the best possible manner within the framework that he has, right? Law of karma and other things. So yeah, we can be rest assured he's a facilitator, and he'll make sure that whatever is best for us and whatever is easiest for us, he will arrange for that. So we need to have faith on God in that case. So no need to fear about anything. That's the essential message. So even if it's 99.9, it's like we are pretty much there, and God knows that. Just the final push is needed now. Maybe He will make us repeat as a human in His avatar kal, right? Some of the souls who come in His avatar kals are on the tipping point of God realization. They are on the tipping point, who are given an opportunity for the first time to interact with God during this avatar kal. And then they complete their journey and then go to His abode after that. Anything is possible. Monica ji is very happy listening to that. Okay. Next Krishna avatar is around the corner. Okay. So you all can prepare for that. Okay. What else then? Are we good to move to our devotional segment then?
Do we want to spin the wheel for Jagat
Oh
Guru?
yes, Jagat Kurutam Divas. Let's swing our Seva teams to action now. Shyamji, this is the moment of truth now. Something that you have always been planning for. Okay, let's spin the wheel, see which Seva teams get the opportunity to prepare something for Maharajji first. We have 3 or 4 teams, right?
No, I actually ended up running one, so it removed one. Let me just add it. Yes, now it's fine.
Go
You
ahead.
see 4 teams, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me also share the computer sound. Okay.
Oh my God. Vinamra team.
Okay, next. Shamji.
Selfless team. Congratulations. Vinamra, selfless. I don't know what happens. Enthusiastic team all. We can negotiate with each other if you want to.
Should I spin now?
No need. So Vinamra, selfless, Ananya, and enthusiastic. So Maharaj is coming. You can go ahead and start thinking about something if you want to.
So we start from which day? From like 14th is Sunday. So do we start from Sunday and then one presentation every week, or how do we?
Yeah, we can do that. Every week or maybe 2 a week, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
We can do that. So we can start from Jan 14th. If it works for all, or maybe that Wednesday, whatever works best for Vinamra team. We are flexible in that sense. We're very considerate too, right? So enthusiastic team is the relaxed, most relaxed team.
Okay. So should we move to the devotional segment?
Yeah, I hope Vinamra captain, selfless captain, enthusiastic captain, everybody's here, right? They're listening.
Ananya also.
Ananya as well.
Okay, Ananya raised hand.
She has raised her. Yeah, Shriramya ji. Okay, the last thing I want is you feeling. Okay, go ahead, Shriramya.
I just raised my hand to say that I'm here. I'm
Oh,
listening.
you're here. Okay, cool. So let's do something small thing for Maharaj ji, whatever we can do. So don't take pressure. Okay, I'm sure something good will come out. Great.
Okay.
And
So
who's the fourth captain?
what? Fourth captain? Vinamra team. It's Prabhat Bhaiya, Urvi, or Sairam ji. Like these three people.
Okay, I'm sure we'll get the message.
Yeah, they will definitely. I'll put it in the Seva group as well. So
Cool.
okay,
Also
devotional
done.
segment.
Okay, so let's move to our devotional segment. Couple of lines for Suminar Karle Mana. Do we have any volunteers? Okay, let's go ahead, Smitaji, please. We have three.
This is my own created. Since I made debut today, I want to continue it. I'll sing it. Express for the voice. एक बार 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 भगवद गीता सीखो रे, जीवन के ये सफर में सफलता पाओ रे, यश कीर्ति पाओ रे। एक बार 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 भगवद गीता सीखो रे, यज्ञ दान तप कर्म भक्ति मार्ग सीखो रे, यज्ञ दान तप कर्म भक्ति मार्ग सीखो रे। ईश्वर प्रति शरणागति जीवन का मर्म है, ईश्वर प्रति शरणागति जीवन का अर्थ है। एक बार 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 भगवद गीता सीखो रे, एक बार 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 हरि नाम जपो रे, कृष्ण नाम जपो रे, राम नाम जपो रे, भगवद गीता सीखो रे। राधे राधे।
Radhe Radhe, Smitaji. Very nice. It's a self-composed one, huh? Beautiful. And thank you for sharing with us in this session. So loved it. Keep up
It's
the good
super
work.
cute.
Keep it coming as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we would love to hear you on a daily basis, Smitaji. It's so sweet and cute. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. Go ahead, Sri Ramya.
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
And then we will wrap it up with a couple of chants.
You'll have to be a little louder. We can't.
Your voice is fading.
सुमिरन कर ले मना, राधार राधा रमणा, जग कोई तेरा ना मना, तन दीना तेरा अपना, सन जो सुख जग ना मना, दुख गन राधा रमणा, सुमिरन कर ले मना, राधार राधा रमणा.
Very nice. Thank you, Sri Ramya. Swati ji.
Radhe Radhe,
Yeah,
Swati.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yeah. सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना जग कोई तेरा न मना तन भी न तेरा अपना साचो सुख जग न मना सुख घन राधा रमना सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. Very nice. Yes, Riyaji, you wanted to go next?
Yes, Riya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना जग कोई तेरा ना मना तन भी न तेरा अपना सांचो सुख जग ना मना सुख घन राधा रमना सुमिरन करने मना छिन छिन राधा रमना.
Very nice,
Thank you
Riyaji.
so much.
Thank
Radhe
you.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Okay, let me also sing it a couple of lines then. सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना जग कोई तेरा न मना तन भी न तेरा अपना सांचो सुख जग न मना सुख घन राधा रमना सुमिरन सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना. This is pretty profound, loaded with wisdom. If you look at it, no one in the world is yours. Raji is saying, even the body is not your own. It's a rental that we get for a specified amount of time. Okay. And that we is so much synonymous with our identity, which is our body, that is also not ours. We have to vacate it when it is inhabitable because of any reason and when our time is up. And then true happiness cannot be found in the world. So we are seeking happiness. We have no choice. We have spoken, right? The very desire for happiness is created by God only because we are part of God. We have inherently wired to seek bliss. But then we are seeking in the world, and this one is saying that there is no happiness in this world. And delighter of Radha, which is none other than our beloved Krishna, Radha's heart is unlimited. That is where unlimited happiness is what these two lines are saying. So with that, we come to the end of today's session. We again meet tomorrow, continue on this fascinating journey as we start on chapter 5th. And again, we'll continue on this beautiful bhajan as well. And I think we can do all the lines together tomorrow as well, right? That'll be good. So, okay, cool. So thank you again, everyone. Please fill out the feedback tracker if not already. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day and a great rest of your evening. Radhe Radhe. Good night, good day.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. See you all tomorrow and fill in put in your videos and testimonials by today. That's it. Yeah.
Please do. Thank you.